We just got reviewed by Bloody Disgusting by Harrison Abbott, and it was a great review, honestly. It was thoughtful, it was engaged, it was well written. I really liked it. Something interesting happened. It sounded like he had a really good experience for the most part, but then he found out that we used AI in development, and then he started wondering if the good experience he had was in fact good, or maybe real is more the concern. Now Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were put in a position where basically you were left wondering, like, does the meaning that you saw, like, was it actually meaning, or were you just like pattern matching the output of this like dead soulless machine, right? And I can understand that. Like, if what I'm saying is true, that would sound like betrayal. And you know, if I was in your position with the information that you had, I might do the same thing. So that's why I'm making this video, not to complain about our review score or something like that, but I think developers need to be more transparent about our processes, and people that are using AI, we're not talking about it because we're scared of being punished, and that just helps nobody. So the good news is that you weren't betrayed, and the best place to talk about that is with this example that you brought up. I originally loved how the brightness calibration image was a creepy portrait of a Boris Karloff lookalike, but now I'm uncertain if that was a conscious tribute to the great horror icon, or if it's just ripped from some other source that the AI was trained on. This example is so perfect, I almost can't believe it. So let me explain, and bear with me for a second. As an artist, I made some weird, inaccessible shit. Like, I made this game called The Last Year of Nostalgia, which is a good game, by the way, but it's set in the land of video games that is collapsing back into like this retro morass. It's this world that's kind of obsessed with the past, and you know, it's degenerating as a consequence. And this hero spawns, who's like the oldest thing possible. You're like made of ASCII text. It's like the oldest graphics format, basically. That fundamental contradiction that like obsession with the past is a sickness, but then also like there's value in the past that represents like maybe the solution to that sickness and all this kind of stuff. That's like a complex idea, and it's like completely fucking inaccessible, right? Like, it's a weird project. Like, look at this character. It's so dumb in a way to make a game with a character like this, because nobody wants to identify with this character. Nobody even knows how to identify with this character. It's completely fucking inaccessible. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I do this shit all the time. I made 2 other projects that are weird, where good guys are bad and bad guys are good, where it's not even really clear what you were supposed to be doing. And it's as if I am possessed by a demon that wants to invert everything. And I'm not alone. As a consumer, I am so sick of this shit. And I think a lot of people are. Like 25 years ago, Shrek literally ripped out a page from a fairy tale book and wiped his ass with it. And it's been downhill ever since. I mean, we are so obsessed with taking norms and deconstructing and inverting them, right? It's like, you've got the villain who, just misunderstood, right? Or you've got the hero, or this person you look up to that is actually evil and toxic and all the rest of it. Or, you know, the princess doesn't need anybody, she's independent, she's gonna save herself, right? And any of these ideas, they have value, but it's like we've gotten so hooked on like inverting and twisting that it's just become the expected thing. Like, it's become the most obvious, trite, stereotype nonsense, and I'm so tired of it. So with Vampire Hunter, I wanted to make a game that didn't invert shit. It's a familiar scheme, it's understandable, right? You're a vampire hunter, the vampire is bad, you're good. It finds its depth not in these cheap inversions, but in like an earnest engagement with the source material, right? And that brings us back to your concern about the portrait. So if we go to GPT and ask it to generate us an image of a vampire, this is what we get back by default, right? It's like this generic, sexy as fuck, overly detailed, kind of anime adjacent style. This is very typical. You try yourself. Here's where it gets fascinating though, because when I started this process, I had a very clear image in my mind of something between Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi, but Bela Lugosi's face was maybe a little bit softer. So I think unconsciously I was kind of moving towards that like firm Frankenstein style features that of course Boris Karloff has on the left. But you want to know something neat? I didn't know his name. Boris Karloff's contribution to horror was so significant that when I reached into my own mind for an iconic image of classic horror, his face showed up. And as I began working more with GPT to generate a more appropriate image, they began converging on likenesses of Boris Karloff, which is exactly what I wanted without necessarily having articulated that verbally beforehand. We need to pause on this because I think this is a fascinating idea. What you asked is if it was a conscious evocation, as if I'm an explicit horror fan and I was doing a specific nod to Boris Karloff, and it would seem at this point that the answer is no. But hang on, that's not right. Does the name matter? The tribute here was never the name, it was an image in an imagistic medium. And the thing being honored here is the image of classic horror, which in our culture happens to wear Boris Karloff's face for good reason. And I knew that, and I did it intentionally, even if I didn't know his name. I mean, was I consciously signaling to other horror aficionados? No, but I'm not sure that that is even the right question. I mean, kind of yes, also. That's why it's so amazing that you picked this example. Like, this image is meaningful. Like, it's crazy. Like, you could make the argument that it's like a perfect symbolic representation of the artistic soul of the project. But not only that, a representation of a fucking 10, 15-year struggle as an artist that I've been going through. And the image was made by GPT. It was. Both of those things are true. They are. But anyway, look, I don't mean to brag by saying this exactly, but look, I'm a skilled artist. I mean, without AI, I would have eventually converged on this image. It would have just taken me like 1,000 times as long. And I'm not kidding by that. 2 days to sculpt and texture a model is 960 minutes. And it just takes a minute to generate one of these images. So what am I doing? That's what these tools are for me. They're not a replacement to intention, they're an accelerant for it. The AI can't tell what's generic and what isn't. That's my job after doing it for 30 years. That's what an artist is. The AI can't do this kind of radical coherence because it just can't hold this many things in its head at one time, at least not yet. There's no other way of doing it right now. I have to actually be the vision holder, and if I'm not doing it, you're gonna just get kind of a generic piece of shit. And we will see that, by the way. There will be a flood of generic garbage games, but we gotta tell the difference between what constitutes quality and what doesn't. And it's not AI, and it never was. We've had asset store flips on the Steam store forever. These games were made without intention and thought, and we'll have more now, and I'm not sure what to make about that, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, I could probably go on and explain every asset in the game through this lens, but I'll not do that unless somebody wants me to. But I'll just end by saying, Harrison, thank you, genuinely. I did enjoy the article. I thought it was great. And I'm really just making this video because, like I said, I think it's important that developers share about our process. But regardless, I wish you a long and happy career, and I'll be reading.